morning, guys. This morning we're in a early model JK with an LT1 10-speed, and as you know, it's awesome. I just drove it to Park City and back and cruised at high speeds, well, 80 miles an hour, no problem at all. And this is a heavy JK on 40s. This Jeep is got a lot of stuff, a lot of electronic stuff, aftermarket steering wheel. It's got aftermarket seats, and I think that's the reason the seatbelt light's on, because it doesn't have standard seat belts. I get the question a lot. Once I decide to go with you guys for the engine conversion, how do I go about it? So let's talk about that a second. In the last year, things have really changed because during the pandemic, the parts supply, the price of parts and labor have gone up. So we're in a pretty dynamic time right now when it comes to engine conversions. Pretty much across our industry and most others, you're seeing parts supply shortages, labor shortages, which has led to longer wait times. So in order to deal with that, and most of you know we don't advertise, really the only advertisement we do is our YouTube channel, and we are out till next April, May, probably the guys will tell me we're out to next May on new builds. So if you decide you want to go with the all GM powertrain through Motec, first thing you want to do is go to our website, fill out the Build Your JK form. It's going to ask you, is it a Rubicon, a 2-door, a 4-door, manual, automatic, all the information we need to set you up with a kit, a builder package, which is the kit with the engine and transmission included, or an in-house build. And the in-house build seems to be the most popular option right now. So we have about 20, might be a little bit more than 20 guys on the waiting list for in-house builds, and that's putting us out to early to mid next year. Determine what engine and transmission you want. If you're having a hard time deciding, just give us a call, because there are a lot of options. There's the LT, there's the LS, there's different horsepower ratings. Your Jeep might be heavy with 40s like this one, or it might be stock and light. We just did a 2-door that was virtually stock with an LT1, and I think you can tell that there's going to be a lot of difference in weight, aerodynamics, and everything else between these two vehicles. So we'll help you make that engine choice decision. Submit the form, and usually within a couple of business days you'll get a detailed estimate back. Now the estimate is not in stone. If you decide later on you want to change something, you want to add PSC, you want to add an Atlas, whatever, we're more than glad to do that. It's not like the estimate is finalized at that point. In fact, during most builds there's going to be some changes. Like we'll find worn out parts, or in some cases you might even save some money. Once you get the estimate back, if it looks good, we're going to request a 50% deposit, and I'll explain that in a minute. If there's something you want to change on the estimate, just email us back and say, hey, I decided I want to go with this bumper to sink my winch. Can you guys do that for me? And then we'll revise the estimate. But again, that's kind of open-ended until the build is done. The actual engine conversion price is not going to change, and this is important because the price of parts have been moving around so much. We can't give long-term estimates, because this week an LT1 might be one price and then next week it'll be 10% higher. We saw that with the 10-speed. It jumped up in price considerably since the beginning of the year. I think there's been 2 price increases on the LT1 since the beginning of the year, and they're not announced. They just go up, and we don't really have any control over that. So if we quote you a price today and the build isn't for 6 months, we're probably going to be underwater by the time your time comes around for the build. So what we do is we request a 50% deposit. So if your build is $30,000, we request $15,000 down, or approximately, because that essentially is the cost of the powertrain. With that money, we'll buy the engine and we'll buy the transmission. Now, prior to this pandemic and all the other craziness that's going on in the economy, it was never really a concern. We could sell a build, and the engines were always available, the transmissions were always available, and the lead time wasn't that long. But now that our lead times are out till next year, we have to secure the items now so that we can honor the price on the invoice that we give you today. So the estimate might only be good for 7 days, but the build might not happen for several months. So we take your 50% deposit, we purchase the parts. So I believe we have just over 20 builds on the board right now, and that's just in-house builds. That doesn't include kits and builder packages. And what we'll do is when your time comes up, a week or two prior, we will contact you and request that you bring your Jeep out. Now you can drive it out if you want, or you can ship it. We can help you with shipping. We actually work with some shipping brokers, and the prices of shipping have gone up a little, but in my experience, it's still less than, let's say you live in Missouri or the East Coast. To drive it out here with the price of gas, get a hotel, fly back, whatever, we find that the transportation is still a more economical solution. Once your Jeep gets out here, a lot of guys say, how long is it going to take? Well, I don't really have an answer for that, because some Jeeps are really clean, stock, not modified, and they go real quick. My guys can usually do one of those in a week or two, but there's also another couple of days to a week of test and tune, meaning I drive these things several hundred miles and we address any little issues, do a little bit of tuning, whatever is required. Now, highly modified Jeeps are a different story. We just had one from back east. The frame was rotted out. We had to change the frame. It had rock lights. It had weld-on rock rails. It had roof racks. It had pretty much everything. Dual S-pods, dual batteries. And you have to understand that that's going to take us a lot more time. And a build like that can take a couple of months. We have specialty builds that take even longer. Like we're doing Elite chassis, we're doing LT5s. And those are just going to take extra time. A lot of guys want to get the vehicle done in a week and in and out, and I wish we could do that, and we're working towards that goal. But with the demand as high as it is and the supply what it is, we have to deal with the current situation. So your estimate's $30,000, you put down $15,000. How do you do that? Well, you can go to our website, lswrangler.com, and put it down with a credit card. I don't recommend you do that because there's a 3.5% credit card processing fee. We don't charge anything for a check. You can send us a personal check, a business check, a cashier's check, or we can give you bank wire information. And neither of those we charge for. Once we get your deposit, we will secure the engine and transmission. So when your time comes up, it is available for your build. And even if the price has gone up, which it invariably will in a lot of items, you're locked into that price that we quoted you. During the build, if there's anything that requires additional attention, we will contact you. Like if we find a worn out tie rod or ball joints, you have death wobble, or you just want to add something. You decided you want to add the Atlas 2. It's not a problem. We will add it to the build and then change the invoice accordingly. When the build is done in the shop, they will do a pre-test drive inspection. Now we will also have done a pre-teardown inspection, meaning how your Jeep arrived. If your Jeep isn't running, of course we can't drive it and check for things like AC, cruise control, and all that. But if it was running, we will note all the things that weren't working prior to the conversion, and then we can try to address those during the conversion. So the guys will do their pre-test drive inspection. I will go out and drive it. Usually I'll put a few hundred miles on the road on the vehicle, and then I'll go do an off-road test. And whatever notes I have, like a rattle or a vibration or something doesn't work, I will note it. And then when I get back to the shop, they will address it. They will also do a post-test drive inspection, checking all the fluids and fasteners, etc. So once your JK is ready to be delivered, you have a few options, and this can be confusing. If you pick the vehicle up here in Nevada, well, let's say you're a Nevada resident, and we do Nevada bills. In fact, I think we got 2 in the shop right now. And if you're a Nevada resident, you're going to have to pay sales tax. Sales tax in Clark County is over 8%. So on a $30,000 invoice, that's probably going to be close to $2,000. In that situation, if you live in Nevada and you're going to pay the sales tax, you might as well just come pick it up right at our shop. But if you live in Arizona, California, Texas, and we have a lot of Arizona, Texas Jeeps and some California Jeeps in our shop right now, then it's going to be in your best interest to ship it on a commercial carrier out of state. As far as the final payment goes, it's the same as the initial payment. You can pay with a credit card online, but you're going to end up having to pay that 3.5% fee. If you want to do a wire transfer, there's no charge for that. If you want to send us a check, there's no charge for that. Now, returning old parts has always been an issue for us, especially with the bigger parts like engines and transmissions, because we got to pack them and we got to crate them, and it's just very time consuming. So as of now, we don't return powertrains. So we've baked it into the price of the conversion. If you absolutely have to have something back, like you have an air intake or a supercharger, talk to us about it and we'll see what we can do about returning those items. But it has been very costly for us to try to return customer parts with shipping and damage from shipping, and the customer sells his engine to somebody and then they want Motec to give them tech support. So if you want any of your old parts back, please ask us prior to the conversion and we'll see what we can do to accommodate. So I hope that answers some questions you might have about the process. The lead times hopefully will shorten and the process may change in the near future as parts become more prevalent. All right, so we're gonna hit the trail with this JK and we'll see you soon.